go on briefly. In the reading list, I'm going to go through talking about books that I haven't talked about briefly now. These books, the Le Vieux de la Montagne and the Caliph Hakim by Betty Boutoul, about the only books on a very, to my mind, a very important and unique figure, the old man of the mountain, Hassan I Sabbah, who lived about 1000 A.D. The old man of the mountain, master of the assassins. Operating from a mountain fortress in Alamout, where he trained his assassins, he terrorized the whole Muslim world. His long, bony finger could reach as far as Paris. Now, his technique was that he would know that he's going to have trouble from so-and-so, some caliph, some general, and then he would plant one of his men, either in the, sometimes in the entourage or as a servant. There's one case of a general who was about to start a campaign against Hassan I Sabbah's fort, Alamout. You see, it wasn't paying taxes up there. He was living outside the law, and there were many expeditions made against Alamout. Well, at this point, when the general was getting all ready to launch this campaign, an old man who had worked in the garden for 10 years killed him with a scythe. He was one of Hassan I Sabbah's assassins. There are many misconceptions of Hassan I Sabbah. The hashish story, you know, that he gave them hash and they felt themselves transported to a paradise which was full of houris. And anyone who's taken hashish knows that this is pretty absurd. And there were no women allowed in Alamout at all. And everything points to a very Spartan discipline. He had his own son beheaded for bringing wine into Alamout. But you see this system. You have a fortress which is surrounded by partisans. It wasn't by any means the only fortress. He was in no effect position with regards to his opponents. That is, he could affect them, they couldn't affect him. And this is still a very viable tactic. But of course, the no-effect position would have to be ensured by concealment. They made a number of attempts, as I say, to take Alamout, but it wasn't taken until, about 200 years after the death of Hassan I Sabbah. And his last words were supposed to have been, nothing is true, everything is permitted. Now, this is usually taken as a license to commit any sort of atrocities. Everything is permitted. But remember that everything is permitted because nothing is true. That is permitted to someone who realizes that everything is illusion. So, the Caliph Hakim was also a member of the same sect of the Ismaili sect. But he was Caliph of Cairo and was very tyrannical indeed. But he's the only tyrant ever to take absolutely no regard for his personal safety. He rode around on a donkey all through the streets of Cairo, where he was very much hated, but he was never assassinated. He disappeared finally. The whole matter of Hassan I Sabbah's method, and there was supposed to have been a large library at Alamout, but there's no record of this. Brian Geison's been there, and he said there couldn't have been more than 100 people at most resident in Alamout. It's because it's just the top of a mountain. And they must have gotten their supplies from surrounding villages, which must have been friendly. Some of these books, I think of alleged books to come from Alamout have recently turned up in Bombay somewhere. So there's very little known about what actually went on there, what form of training the assassins received, or how he could activate them at a distance, which apparently he could. It is true that he was in Egypt at one point, and that he had come in contact with hashish, and that this formed some part of the training. But it certainly didn't cause people to be tricked into a fake paradise. That is just a misconception of what was going on there. Well, any questions? Have any of you read any of, there is another book, I think The Valley of the Assassins. There are a couple of other books about Hassan I Sabbah and the other members of the, he was a member of the Ismaili cult, remember, or sect, which survives in the Ali Khan, who is supposedly traces his descent to Hassan I Sabbah. Now this genealogy is very, very questionable. He was supported by the English, who wanted to use him as sort of a puppet ruler, and it has been questioned. And it was a dissident Muslim cult that had, the tenets of it are really quite hard to pin down, because Hassan I Sabbah left no written record. I mean, he didn't write any sort of a Bible or anything like that. There's very little written. Have any of you read anything about Hassan I Sabbah at all? There's not much known about him. What? There's a couple of books. The Valley of the Assassins. Well, there was another book on secret societies, which I forget the name, which listed the assassins as one of these secret societies. Yes. Oh, yes. That is Le Vieux de la Montagne by Betty Boutou. Both of these books are unfortunately in French and have not been translated. The second book on the list is what I was just talking about. Published by Alamout in 1924. And as I say, have not been translated. And the only others I know, there are about two, that I forget the author and the name, but she certainly had certainly the best and most complete account. Although what her sources were, the Russians are the most considerable scholars on this particular subject of Hassan I Sabbah and the genealogy, etc. The Muslims took it, not the Muslims, excuse me, the Mongols took Alamout in about 1200 and something. And then there was the rumor of this library, which has never turned up. So it's pretty wide open for research and also for inference, since we don't know what the actual training was of the assassins received. So it's a good subject for fiction. Oh yes, Hassan I Sabbah is one of my. I've been very interested in to find out as much as I can about him, and he was apparently a pretty unique figure.